We are Wabtec UK, and we are an overhauler of rolling stock within the rail industry. We do everything from complete vehicle overhauls down to overhaul of minor components such as valves and dampers. So we cover the whole remit really, and are really a one-stop shop for the whole market. One of our biggest obstacles was kind of traceability, really. We used to previously use paper dock packs, and still to this day, we still haven't completely phased out paper, but we're nearly there. One of our key drivers is traceability of work, seeing who's done what, when they've done it. Are they competent, not competent, managing that process, managing the data that comes out of the overhaul work that we do. One of our key things is previously, where obviously all stored on paper, those documents would be scanned in, and to review any sort of piece of work that we'd carried out would be a very, very painstaking and quite long-winded process. Now, with a few clicks of a button, it's allowed us to create reports through the MyWraps reports, and further downloads of reporting that we've done on the back end of it. We can analyze our overhauls and the performance of the bogies and the vehicles that we're overhauling quite easily. Another area in which it's improved our performance is that we don't spend ages chasing after paperwork. You know, we're not having to wait for things to be printed. We're not worried about losing documentation. We're not concerned whether or not documentation is at the latest revision or the correct status. Everything that is live on the system, the guy or girl, whoever they might be on the shop floor, can be rest assured that what they're working to is the most live and most current version of what is available to us, because it's what's the latest version that we've uploaded to our document control system. So it just gives us a huge amount more control and traceability of what we do, and also allows us to portray to our customers, or show our customers, that we have that level of control, because they've got the live tracking of all our vehicles and bogies or whatever it might be that we're overhauling for them. They have access to our platform. Previous life, you know, trying to give a realistic update of where their overhauls were at was a tough ask, because it would require an individual doing a fair bit of mileage or making phone calls to check, and then even then you don't necessarily get a most accurate and up-to-date view of where things are. Whereas now they can log into a platform, and with a few clicks of a button they can ascertain where their rolling stock is. I mean, is it 50% of the way through? Has it just been stripped? Is it near to being released, or has the final release been carried out and they're just waiting to deliver the vehicle or the car or the bogie, sorry. So from top to bottom, it gives us far more control, far more traceability, and allows us to offer a better quality product to our customers. Definitely has been able to improve our efficiency. As I mentioned earlier, we've got just being able to not work with a paper document. One of the great things it gives us that analytical edge that we didn't have before. We are able to analyze things down to contract detail, down to individual bogie detail, down to bogie type detail or car type detail, that we couldn't do before without a huge amount of legwork. For example, just off the top of my head, so we do, just yesterday, we did an analysis of some AAW work that we do. So anything we get paid for above and beyond our core scope. We were able to analyze across all contracts how much AAW we had captured over however many months in a matter of minutes. Now, in a past life, that work would have been either taken a huge amount of work, or to the point where it would have been so onerous that we wouldn't have even bothered doing it, perhaps. Now, from an accounting perspective, we can simply go, right, we have booked this many hours to AAW over this amount of period of time. We did this on this contract, this on this bogie class, this on this bogie type. And again, it's all done in a matter of minutes, which is something we didn't have at our disposal before. On the direct efficiency on the shop floor, it's had a huge improvement, because we're no longer at a point where it doesn't require an individual to leaf through, in some cases, 100-page doc pack to ensure that we've captured all bits of information and signatures that we had. So releasing a vehicle or releasing a bogie, the time has been cut dramatically, because you can, at a glance, you can see, have all jobs been signed or have not all jobs not been signed? And they can rest assured as well, because of the validation process that each job goes through and the electronic signatures that are required and the competency levels captured within those signatures, they can rest assured that A, we know it's been done by a competent individual, and B, the required information has been captured in the correct format. And that for me is a big thing as well, the correct formatting. It makes analytical work so much easier when you can force the formatting to be correct, and you know an individual, regardless of their level of capability when it comes to using a computer, it doesn't allow them to do it wrong. If they did it wrong, they wouldn't be able to sign the job off, and therefore they wouldn't proceed. Whereas now we know when a job is saying it's 100% complete, it is 100% complete. And we can proceed with that. So it cuts down the amount of time for inspection, cuts down the amount of time for release, and it cuts down the amount of time wasted chasing after paperwork that we had to do before. So yeah, efficiency is not just from a direct production point of view, but efficiency improvements from an analytical and from an administrative point of view as well. The integration process, as with all new processes to a business of our size, it was obviously challenging. Change is never easy, and a change on this scale is sometimes a little bit tougher. Obviously, the rail industry, as it is, it's been used to working a certain way for a certain period of time. Let's just put it that way. And a lot of people are accustomed to working on paper. They like the security or the perceived security that they have with paper, because it's easier to edit, shall we say, that kind of stuff. Whereas when things are a bit stricter, when you're working on an electronic system, you know, you narrow the pool of people that can actually work on the system and make changes to it, which for us is a huge benefit, because from a traceability and a quality point of view, that narrowing the pool of people who can actually edit the content of it is a positive. For some guys on the shop floor, it might not appear to be a positive, because it makes their life a little bit harder, because it means that they can't just do things willy-nilly. But you know, for us as a business, it's a huge plus. But going back to the original question of the challenges we perceived when we rolled it out, a lot of the challenges are down to industrialization more than anything else. In terms of a business, I mean, we were fairly comfortable taking our paper dot packs and transferring them to an electronic format. That wasn't necessarily a big thing, you know. That was quite straightforward. The big bit was the industrialization, the getting the technology onto the shop floor, ensuring the technology was used properly, ensuring the technology was respected, and ensuring that we trained our staff correctly to carry out that process in the way they should be carrying it out. In order to achieve that, we did through some fairly intense training. For example, when we did our bogey bay, we went to, at the time we had around about 90 to 100 people who were direct employees of the bogey bay who worked in a production facing role, and every single one of those went through about a 2-hour training session on how to go through the process of accessing wraps, signing them off, ensuring that they signed off correctly what they wanted to sign off, and ensuring that they could basically work their way through the process without getting stuck too much. Now, obviously, there were some people who needed a little bit more help than others, as there always are with these sorts of things. But generally, people took to it very well, and we didn't have that too many problems, at least. Once we got it up and running, got it rolled out, most people took to it very well. To give you an example, there was one guy, first training session I had with him, he didn't know how to use a mouse. He would move it with one hand, click the button with another hand, and that was the level of competency. One guy didn't know what the enter button was or what a space bar was. These guys now, on a day-to-day basis, quite happily, merrily using wraps without any trouble whatsoever. And that's the level we've got to, essentially. And we have now a shop floor whom I'm sure if you said to them tomorrow we were going back to paper, would riot almost. Some of them, don't get me wrong, there might be a couple out of those few hundred who would say, oh yeah, that's great, but the vast majority, well over 90+% would be like, no, that's a terrible idea, don't do that. This is such a far better solution for what we need. Yeah, it's definitely a partnership. So we obviously started with them a few years ago, and at the start, yes, we did. We needed our hand holding a lot because it was brand new to us. As I say, the rail industry historically has not necessarily been fantastic at recruiting people to do this sort of work, and it just kind of needed somebody with a bit of foresight to take the plunge. I was very lucky in terms of the fact that there were people ahead of me that further down the line within Wabtec who took that plunge, and we've managed to build off of their really good work. What we've experienced with ExcelWraps as we've gone through the process is that they've provided as much or as little support as we've needed at any given stage throughout the process. So very early on, they did a huge amount of development work for us, which was very beneficial because it allowed us. They worked collaboratively with us to actually build a system that we really needed and would work for our purposes, which was on the old OH2 contract. And everything that was put online was built in conjunction with, obviously, ExcelWraps brought forward the ideas. So John and his team brought forward the ideas, and then from what I understand, the guys then gave them feedback, and then there was tweaking along the way. But as we've gone further through the process, so myself, when I came on board with it about 2.5 years ago, I guess, I worked very closely with the guys at ExcelWraps to start with, but as they sort of imparted their knowledge upon me, I've been fortunate enough to be able to sort of take their idea and spread it to other areas of the business and move it out quite quickly. And as I've done that, obviously the further I've done that and our team have done that, there's other individuals in that position now. We've been able to rely on them less, but we still now from time to time have to go to them for support, or we have to go to them with questions when we're not sure about things. And every time we do, they're absolutely brilliant. So they provide, as I say, the support we get from them, it increases or decreases to where we need it to be, basically, at any given time.